Good evening, everyone. Facebook, YouTube, um, LinkedIn. Welcome to the OLM Live Show. I'm Angela Green, attorney Angela Green, executive director of On Location Memphis, and just want to welcome you to, I would say, the first OLM Live discussion in the last couple of years. But I brought it out of retirement for something very, very special. Um, just to let you all know, we've been for the past, I say, a year or so, we've been working on our workforce development program with OLM. And a part of it was geared towards training for the below the line jobs. And then the other part of it was actually filming a film project where we can actually create jobs and opportunities for people to put things that they have been trained in into actual use. Giving individuals opportunity to maybe get that first gig or maybe that second or third one so that they can build their resume. And so tonight, we're going to talk to a couple of members who are part of the initial production group for Fifth Step. Fifth Step was the first film that we produced under Memphis Movie Production, which was a part of that beta program. And so we're just really excited because we finished the film. We're scheduled to release it in April. And we just want to get everyone involved and ready to see what we have done, what was produced here in Memphis. Um, we have to say thank you to our sponsors because we were able to do this due to grants that we received. So initially, the first grant was from Frontline Solutions, powered by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We submitted a grant for them for the Below the Line project, and they saw that application and they thought enough about it to give us some seed money and say, hey, take this money, do whatever it is you would like to do, and report back to us. And we were able to get that grant on 2 occasions. So they are the major sponsor of this film project in particular. But also, we were able to pull in different businesses and individuals in the community kind of come together to pull this off. First off was Pinnacle Bank, Power Media Solutions, Immaculate Facility Services, and of course, many of our craft services individuals, such as Margaret Hatter, Kara Sherrod, Spice Lady 901, Square Meal, many of those. So we just want to say thank you for each of them being willing to put in their resources and their time and their goods and services to help us pull this project off. But tonight, what we want to do is talk to each of these individuals. I started with 3 people, and it was with their help and dedication we were able to pull this team together to make this happen. And I just want to spotlight each one of them, and so that you can learn a little bit more about them and what they do in the film television space. So we're going to hear from one of our sponsors, and then once we come back, we will talk to Mr. Darius Wallace. All right, and we're back. And hello, Darius. How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing excellent. I appreciate you coming in with me tonight because I know since we've done this project, you have pretty much transitioned to Georgia. Am I correct?
Yeah. Like right after, I think, because we finished. What was it, July? We finished it.
July. Uh-huh.
Yeah, right after that.
So I have to admit, I wasn't the brainchild behind all of this. I remember now this has to be almost 2 years ago when you called me up and you presented this idea, and your idea was more on the film side. I just kind of brought the workforce development and married it with it, but it was that idea of shooting short films on micro budgets. So what is, how do you feel now that we, thinking back on that conversation that we had, and that was before I had even gotten the grant from Frontline till today, what are you thinking? How do you feel about what we were able to do over that period of time?
Well, whenever you can have an idea and then see the end result, it's pretty satisfying and miraculous. And then also too, like you said, it took, you believing in it and then really running with it. And then it took, gathering all the forces together and all the people and, all the things we had to do to see it done in
Hmm.
order for it to happen. And it's exciting to see. And I think it was even more exciting, really two things. One is the opportunities it's going to create. I mean, I think that's the
Hmm.
thing that I'm the most excited about. And then also too, to be quite honest, I've never seen you smile so much. I really haven't. I mean, I have. I mean, I got with Antonio the other day. I just wanted to thank him and tell him I appreciate the work that he's done.
Hmm.
And I told him, I said, I've known I've known Angela for over a decade,
Yeah.
well over a decade, and I've rarely seen you smile.
Well,
And there's no
for you all
promise.
to know, I mean, I'm an attorney by trade. I mean,
Yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of times
yeah. It's true.
I'm dealing with serious issues,
Yeah,
serious things on my mind.
and it's
But
true. It's true. But I think what I mean, of course, you've always been, very gracious and nice, but it seems to me like this is your thing. Like this is where you really live. And so I think that's the thing I'm the most excited about is whenever someone finds their what they resonate with, they find their thing, their passion, their heart, the thing that makes them sing when they get up every day. That excites me. So I think that's the
and and I think that's very insightful for you to say that because um I have to admit I was pushed into this. I've never had the desire to be a filmmaker.
uh-huh.
I've always been a writer, but
Hmm.
I have not written just for myself or just for fiction or anything like that since high school. Once you go to law school, things change. I mean, they teach you a different style of writing, and
Uh-huh.
so I had not done that in years, and so this whole situation. But I've always been a person to step up. Whenever
Yeah.
there's something that needs to get done, I'm willing to step up and make it happen for the good of myself, my name, my reputation, and the people who are depending on me to make something happen. So I'm always been that person. But you're right. I mean, this was something that that was totally unexpected for me. And it actually kind of rolls into my next question because the idea to have a film focused around one of the steps of AA was your concept. I mean, the original script was 12 step,
Hmm.
and you were also the one who came up with, hey, well, why don't we switch it to fifth step?
Hmm.
And so, just due to time restraints and everything like that, myself having to step in just to help keep the ball rolling, I ended up writing the script. But of course, I didn't write it from a place of someone who had been an alcoholic or who
Uh-huh.
was a recovering alcoholic. I kind of was listening to you and then just thinking in terms of what would this situation be like. So having watched the film, because you're one of the few who have watched the film,
Hmm.
and how do you think I did in capturing that concept of that fifth step within that story? With you being someone who has been a part of AA, and do you think it will resonate with other people who are in that recovery world?
Yeah, I do. The two steps that can trip up someone that's in recovery are the fourth and fifth steps. Because
Hmm.
the
Interesting.
hardest, scariest thing, you know, uh, that that you can do because you don't. It's the unpredictable, and you're really having to face yourself and
Hmm.
face uh, ones that you may have wronged, or ones that
Right.
may have wronged you. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So there's all these different things, and so I think that that you did a fine job. The story does capture that, but it captures it in story form. And the reality is that, you know, any person that's dealing with recovery, they have a story,
Mm-hmm.
and most of those stories are not pretty, and most of those stories are not the Hollywood storybook story. You
Right.
know,
Right.
it could be someone's in recovery that was a hitman very easily. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, you know, uh, the 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 story really captured the beauty and the ugliness of what can be surrounding someone in recovery.
Right. Right.
But it also captures the benefit of being on the other side of, um, I don't think the story is didactic,
Mm-hmm.
where we actually see two
Mm-hmm.
people working the fifth step,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that it should be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But what ends up happening in the story, we then get a chance to see the redemption,
Mm-hmm.
which is the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of what that does. Is it's now leading you to redeem
Mm-hmm.
life for
Mm-hmm.
yourself. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that it was a very creative way of touching that. And I think that there's themes in it and moments in it that will touch people not only who are going through recovery, but you also have to think about, as we address in this story, loved ones
Right.
that are
Right.
affected by
Yeah.
what's happened in your life. So I think that it'll touch people on two levels: people who have gone through it, and
Mm-hmm.
then loved ones who have people in their family
Right.
that are
Right.
going. Yeah. So.
Also, too, when I thought back on it, because I know this wasn't conscious, I didn't consciously think of this, but then just watching the movie and looking at it, I said it also spoke to maintaining that
Hmm.
sobriety,
Yeah.
because people are often, once you've made that decision and you are on that road to recovery and sobriety, there are always people and things and situations around you that are constantly trying to pull you back
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
and get you to turn back and go back to whatever it is that had you in bondage before. And so when I was thinking about the story and how we would talk about it, that was also another thing, was maintaining that sobriety.
Yeah.
What would be needed for you?
Yes.
What kind of support would you need in
Hmm.
order to maintain it, because it would be hard to do it on your own. So
Yeah.
so now, since you have transitioned
Hmm.
to Georgia for most time, I know you're in and out of Memphis still.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what you do, because I know acting is
Yeah.
your first love. So
Yeah.
what's going
It
on
is.
now?
Yeah. Well, have started a tour. I'm actually back in Georgia now, but I leave again next week. I do a one person show in Frederick Douglass.
Hmm.
And then I also have a one person show called My Words Are My Sword.
Okay.
So that is sort of dominating my life right now. I also coach
Okay.
presenters, people who have to speak, and and then I also am an inspirational speaker. So a lot of that is what's happening since I've been in Georgia,
Hmm.
um, and uh, um, and so that has been the dominant thing that's been going on. But as you know, there's a film in the can, Damaged Goods, which, by the
That's
way,
right.
he
That's
sent me
right.
a cut. It looks really good, and
Oh wow.
the music, yeah, is pretty dynamite. And then there's Queen Rising is still doing the festival circuit,
Okay.
and so yeah, I'm here just making connections, auditioning.
Hmm.
I still work on my chops, so I found a acting studio here, and traveling around the country doing Frederick Douglass.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
Frederick Douglass is still in circulation.
Yeah, all these years,
All
and
these
actually, it's
years,
a new
absolutely.
version.
Oh,
It's
you got a
actually
new,
a
okay,
new version.
updated version of it. Okay.
Yeah, that I'm really excited about. and it's the beginnings, it's the developmental stages of this new version that I'm testing out with these audiences. So I'm excited about that.
Now I did see on your website people were able to actually download a copy of the
Yeah.
Frederick
Oh
Douglass.
yeah, that's right.
So is that
Yeah.
still available?
Yeah, it is. It is. It actually is a docudrama that I did over the pandemic, actually in Frederick Douglass's home.
Ah, okay. Okay.
And so this is really more about, it's not my show per se. It's really more about my relationship to Frederick Douglass as an actor
Mm-hmm.
and why I'm inspired by Frederick Douglass. You know, and I struggled with reading coming
Mm-hmm.
about, and Frederick Douglass transformed his life through reading.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
that drew me to him. So it's kind of a story about my relationship to Frederick Douglass. And then it goes in and out of my performance. So some of it
Okay.
is when I'm on stage live with an audience, but we actually filmed me as Frederick Douglass in his
Okay.
home
In his home. Oh
as
wow.
an older Frederick Douglass. Yeah, do the reciting speeches. And so it's called Being Frederick Douglass. And yes, you can download it on my website.
So was it difficult getting that site location clearance, or was it just a matter of
No,
just
it
making
was
that
all
request?
serendipitous. It was all
Okay.
serendipitous. I go there several times a year to do Frederick Douglass.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the pandemic, they wanted to get a video version of it. So
Okay.
they had their crew there too.
Okay.
And so I was thinking, oh, maybe I could get Willie Bearden to come with me and film me.
Right. Right.
And he did it. He came,
Okay.
and I did my work for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they let us have the house. And then we actually filmed me performing. And so we did the
Okay.
whole film in 2 hours.
Oh wow.
Because I
Okay.
already knew,
Yeah.
yeah. So we just went to the different locations of the home and
Mm-hmm.
caught, really amazing footage. And now,
Mm-hmm.
it's a docu-film, and it also has been accepted by Amazon, several other
Streaming platforms.
streaming platforms. It's just
Okay.
there's was some glitches that we had to work through, and we have now resent it. So hopefully very soon you'll be able to see it also on Amazon.
Okay. Awesome. Excellent. Excellent. Well, I appreciate you coming in and
Yeah.
helping me so that we can start getting the word out about Fifth Step, but also just sharing with us, the audience, what you do and how you're going to be continuing on, in your, in the film and indie space. Now, do you have any, just last question, do you have any plans to do any more directing?
Actually, I would have to admit this process, I've directed 2 films, but it both of them were over a decade ago. And this film kind of reignited the desire to direct again.
Hmm.
So there's a young man that I met out here who's a screenwriter and filmmaker who used to work in Los Angeles but has moved back to Atlanta because he has parents that are not well. And so we hit it off, and so we're working on a script that I've been
Okay.
wanting to do for a long time. I think I told you about it.
Yeah.
The hotel, the 2 people in the hotel. I told you
Hmm.
about that.
Hmm.
So that story is kind of developing some. So right now we're writing it.
Okay.
Then we'll see from there if we can, get it on its feet and make it happen. So
Awesome. Well, I will. I'll keep that up in my prayers. We can get
please,
that moving. Get that
yes,
moving.
yes.
All right,
I
Darius.
may
I
be calling you
appreciate.
about that. So
Right.
yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna. I'm gonna take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with Margaret Hatter.
We don't make the art. We make it more accessible, more sustainable, more abundant, more equitable, more attainable, and more dramatic. We don't make the art, but with your help, we make it possible. Arts Memphis, working behind the scenes for 60 years to grow the foundation of Memphis's arts.
And we're back. Arts Memphis has been a strong supporter of OLM ever since I took over the organization in 2014 and started to reimagine the vision of this organization. They have been very supportive in that journey, so to speak. Because even though we are an arts organization, we are definitely coming at the arts from a totally different angle. We're coming at it from the business side of the arts and helping those artistic, creative entrepreneurs to turn those businesses into money generating ventures for themselves. And so we appreciate Arts Memphis for their support, their continued support. So once Darius and we got that first grant, and so we knew we were going to go ahead and do this. The first person that he wanted me to meet was this woman, Miss Margaret Hatter, and he spoke so highly of her. And once we did have an opportunity to connect, it's like we've been knowing each other forever. And so I welcome to the virtual stage Miss Margaret Hatter. Hi, Margaret.
Angela, so good to see you. Thank you for that compliment. That's very
It
sweet.
is
I
actually,
agree. It is like we've known each other forever.
I know. I mean, it's like you don't meet any strangers. You definitely were not a stranger, and you jumped right in. It's like you saw the vision and you jumped right in, hands, feet, all together, and you've been extremely important support system to me through this whole process. Um, so I'm gonna ask because I don't know, what did Darius tell you when he was first telling you about this project and asking you to come in and work with OLM?
Well, Darius and I have been friends for a long time, and he and I were both original founding members of Tennessee Shakespeare Company.
Mm-hmm.
And we realized as we became friends working on that first season of TSC opening that we both had a love of film and a film background. And so after the first season was done, he and I got together and we started talking about, wouldn't it be great if we could get a movie production company going here, and if we could do movies here in Memphis, and if we could, find some funding. And then life went on, and I got involved at work. He got involved doing his piece, uh, um, and traveling and doing a lot more acting, which he's great at, of course. And so then he called me up, and years later, and he said, Margaret, I've met this woman. She's a friend, Angela Green. I think that maybe she's the right person to connect with if you're still connected to that dream. And I said, yes. So we went out to coffee over at Crosstown at French Truck and had a nice conversation about you, Angela, and about what the vision was. And went from there. And he sold you, but he didn't have to sell you too much.
Okay.
I got it. I got where you were going and what you were trying to do. So
We say the rest is history.
and the rest is history. Yes.
So, but working with a film festival, because of course OLM initially started as a film festival, but you had experience working with film festivals in New York, correct?
Well, I had experience working with the Collective for Living Cinema. So we were a cinema that was for independent filmmakers to show their films year round.
Okay.
And so we ran a whole theater and had really expensive, older equipment to run 16 millimeter films, and video production was starting, but it was not the main focus. It was actual film. And so yeah, so I've worked with all kinds of startup artists, but that was our objective also. We wanted to provide a place for independent filmmakers to get started and grow. And probably the one that's in the headlines right now that you most would hear about is Todd Haynes. May December, which showed here at the Indie Memphis Film Festival in October, but it's getting the Oscars, and
Mm-hmm.
Natalie Portman and
Mm-hmm.
Todd for directing. He's not recommended as pardon me, he's not nominated as an Oscar director, but he's gotten Golden Globes and uh, nominations, and the film has, and so that's out of that group.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
you never
Actually,
know. You plant those seeds, Angela. That's
right.
the main thing. You plant those seeds and you give people a place to grow, and they get to do what they want to do with it.
Right. And you just never know where that's going to lead them. So you came on the project Fifth Step as a producer.
Correct.
So how did you tackle that job on this particular project in particular?
Sure. So was just coming off producing a film called A Sick Beat, and when we started doing the background work, and so to do production work for this piece, several things had to happen. The first piece was the story script. So we
Mm-hmm.
started ferreting out readings of
Mm-hmm.
scripts, and finally came to yours, Angela, and
Mm-hmm.
worked through it, and had several meetings about the content and what could we do and could we pull this off and how many scenes there were, really breaking it down, and
Mm-hmm.
decided that we could and that we liked the story, and the story was tight enough to do in the time frame, because originally we wanted to do this as a short, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, so we did story selection, and then we moved on and did started thinking about cast and crew, and had meetings to discuss who would be, before we called anybody, and
Mm-hmm.
before we put up any notices on any billboards about acting and about auditions. We came together with our list first and started making phone calls and touching base with each other,
Mm-hmm.
see who we had the connections with, who we thought would be good. Because you're always trying to find the right marriage of
Mm-hmm.
the right people to the right project. Not everybody's good for everything. Doesn't mean they're not great. Just
Mm-hmm.
some people are better at particular genres or particular budgets or particular time frames, and so we pulled that together, and then we went forward with auditions and hiring, and the rest, as they say, is history.
It's history. I know for me, when we got down to the shooting days, there were so many things that you were thinking about that had not even crossed my mind, from the meals. They were like, oh, you got to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner for everybody
Mhm.
every day of the production. And how would that work? How would we pay for that? How would we get it in and out, and bringing in production assistants who can do the running and everything. And then once we were stretched because once we brought in our cinematographer, and then he started making suggestions like, oh, the place is too small. We need a place for the actors to be, for them to change clothes, a base camp and everything. And I never thought about that. And I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, so then we had to think about what would be base camp, what would be the set. And it really stretched us. But I think it was always to the better because we were all growing as far as we could, probably more so than we thought we could, what I'm saying? If we didn't have individuals who were pushing us to go to basically to go to the line as far as we could go. And that's what I found very interesting. And then how everything went that, those 4 days, from sun up to sundown, working and pulling off the different scenes and how everything was put together, and your logistics as the producer really was beneficial and helpful in that, because how you organized everything. And I remember you said you kind of took a playbook from the theater with organizing everything that we had to purchase and pull together to feed this crew of it was over 20 people, because the cast was 20, and the crew may have been another 6 or 7, that sort of thing. And so dealing with everybody every day, so that was what I pretty much learned and took away from that whole experience. And it was fun. I mean, it was tiring, but it was fun.
Oh yeah. And I'm an old stage manager. Like I started doing that in high school. And
Yeah.
it between being a stage manager and being a Girl Scout, you've always got to be prepared. So you've
Right.
always got to be looking at everything and go, what can go wrong? You
Right.
know,
Right.
what if we shoot into the middle of the night? What if you need production assistance? What if somebody stubs their toe and you got to run them over to the emergency room or to the minor med or something?
Hmm.
You've always got those what ifs that you've got to plan for,
Hmm.
even if it's just very skinny planning. You got to be taking all those considerations,
Absolutely.
all the time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, now that we finished this, what is on the horizons in the area of film for you now?
So next up, I've already started a project it's temporarily called Meditation Man, and it's a short, and it's with the same two guys that I did from Minnesota that I did a sick beat with.
Hmm.
And so part of it we've already gotten the filming done for, and we're working
Okay.
on some audio over track right now. And
Okay.
part of that is filmed in Memphis.
Okay.
And so that's fun. So that's kind of taken up my spring, my January, February, March. And
Okay.
it's taken up December in the planning. I've done a bunch of calls in December for planning, and then
Hmm.
January, February, March for producing. And then April, I've got the opening of Fifth Step,
Right.
which I'm super excited
Yeah.
about. And then my next thing that I'm going to take on a better understanding of is workforce development in Memphis. I don't know if you know this, but on January 18th, Movie Maker magazine released its last
Hmm.
edition. Have you seen the article?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Memphis is one of the top
we're
cities.
we're number 21. We got the number 21 spot, and we're the only city in the state of Tennessee that they say is a great place to work as a movie maker. And I think they got that really right.
I think it's an indie movie maker, right?
Yes. And
Hmm.
I think
I
they
think
got
that's
that
right.
really
I think
right,
that. Hmm.
because you can do a lot in this town. This town's very artistic, and it's also very supportive. And
Hmm. Very
all,
accommodating.
it's not all about the coin. If you go to
Hmm.
Nashville, people are always like, if you talk to anybody from Nashville, my experience has been they are always talking about, well, what do I get out of the deal? Well,
Hmm.
how does this benefit me? And in Memphis,
Hmm.
we're more, hey, come over. Let's talk about this. What can we do to get this going? How can I help participate? So people are more on the front end. They want to show their artistic talent, and they
Right.
want to give, and they're not so worried about the receiving. They're more worried about the giving on the front end, and it makes a difference.
Right. And who is it going to help?
Right.
How is it going to better the community as a whole, the artistic community specifically, and the greater community, in particular? You know what I'm saying? So, um, we're very community focused and minded, especially when it comes to our philanthropic giving and such. And when you have so many artistic individuals working in the city, then it just makes sense that we find a way to turn that into viable jobs and opportunities for them to have living wages off of what they are already doing. They already have a heart to do. They just need to learn how to monetize it, because this is $1 billion industry. So
Exactly.
if it's $1 billion industry, our people should be able to tap into that and participate.
Exactly. So that's what I want my next focus to be, is to learn more about what you've already started with this program of
Hmm.
having this be a training program and using the money to actually produce a film to give these people hands-on training, but to really delve more into that, because I think they have more money, and I think they have more inclination to keep that innovation and that training and that employment happening, and they want to support it. And so anyway, so that's my next gig, is to start learning more about that, and get my IQ up on on
And
how
that,
the programs run and how that money runs and what opportunities are there. Because if we can do another film and get another, 20 people or
mhm,
30 people employed and get their street cred up and get another big production here in Memphis, because we can support
mhm.
the below the line jobs, more power to us.
More power to us. Absolutely. So I appreciate you coming in tonight.
I enjoyed
And
it. Thanks for having me.
absolutely, absolutely. So we'll be right back. All right, we're back. That was Memphis Music Bank. That is a program of On Location Memphis. Um, it is a music licensing website for TV, film, and visual media. And we also have composers who are part of the bank. And just for you filmmakers to know, we do have a program, our fiscal sponsorship program. Those filmmakers who are able to participate in that program, which is it's an opportunity to allow us to extend our nonprofit status to your for-profit film project to help you raise money for your project. But we do also offer free music scoring services for those film projects that are a part of that program as money allows. So as long as we have the funds, we'll use it. Once it runs out, it's over. But so keep that in mind. Damaged Goods was one of our film projects that was a part of that program, and so we're very excited. And Tony Forte was the composer from the Memphis Music Bank for that film project, and we're looking forward to that. So this next guest that I'm going to bring to the virtual stage, we actually connected via Facebook. I think she invited me to join her community, and I did. And she was just so engaging and so welcoming, and just so um, she's one of those individuals who brings the community together. And I think we did meet up in different events, in the film and music space, and everybody knows her, everybody loves her, and everybody wants her to be a part of what they have going on. And so um, I want to introduce you all to this young lady, Miss Kathy Lofton. Hi, Kathy.
Hey, Angela. Such a sweet introduction. Thank you.
I appreciate no, I really appreciate you. And I think we've been knowing each other probably over a year, because I think it was we had just started working on this fifth step project when we connected. And
Well, actually, it may have been 22, maybe a
22.
year and a
Uh-huh.
half, maybe a
Uh-huh.
little, yeah.
Yep, because that's when we started the project. We started it in 2022. And
And I
and
met
we
you at
were
the music
it,
mixer. You
that's
invited me
right.
to one of your great
Mixer
Memphis Music
competition.
Bank
Yeah,
music mixer competitions.
that's right. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just, I really just appreciated how you brought the community together. I mean, your Facebook group, which is the Memphis Film Community Facebook group that you run.
Filmmaker Society Memphis. And
Oh,
actually,
okay.
it is actually one of my relatives' groups, but I was given the task maybe 2 years ago to do it temporarily while
Okay.
somebody was on vacation.
Okay.
And I ended up doing it so it's mine now. They have made it mine. It's two other
Okay.
members on there, and they liked what I was doing. And I was the social media junkie of the three anyway. So
Yeah.
It might as well be my group.
It might be, yeah. And yeah, and there's so many, I mean, it's so diverse. There's so many individuals who are part of that community. I mean, if you want to get the word out about anything you're doing in film here in Memphis, you post it in that group. People are
Filmmakers
going to learn.
United Memphis, folks, we welcome you if you're an artist of
Yeah,
any sort. We come join
absolutely.
us.
So now I remember when you were in that group, you would always post casting calls.
Mm-hmm.
And you were just letting people know, hey, this is casting call here, casting call here. And I remember we were having a conversation, and you were talking about how, because you're an actress as well, and you were talking about how you enjoy, just letting people know about different casting and everything. And then I said, well, have you ever done that? He was like, well, no, I've never done it. And I was just like, well, why don't you just be the casting agent for Fifth Step? And you was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I was excited.
A little bit about that. Like, what did you think when I just kind of threw that out at you?
I was like, finally, it was just like, it was kind of like a dream that you handed to me, because I'd always wanted to do that, actually from a very young age. I've always been a cinephile. I've always wanted to do so many things in front of and behind the camera. And casting was something I always wanted to do. And I used to privately say, how do you become a casting associate or a casting director? And then you talked about workforce development at the top of this show, and you nailed it. It gave me the opportunity to professionally develop in casting, something I always wanted to do, that I had done in layman's terms, always referring local talent in Memphis to an audition I heard about, and some of them would get it. And I was like, I'm good at picking out the right people. Project, like Margaret said. So I was very excited and so grateful when you gave me that opportunity to finally live an aspiration and get that professional development.
And you did an excellent job. I mean, I don't know if you took it from just having observed other casting directors, but it seemed like you just slid into that lane, you owned it, and you worked it to perfection. And you did it so well. I think we created another job for you, which was talent wrangler. And I don't even know if that's a job, but we was like, that was good. You know what I'm saying?
I think it was a combination of things, having been a background actor and then gotten some supporting roles, and observing the process of going through the audition and being selected. And then in the corporate world, wearing that corporate hat, it was like project management and hiring, much like HR. And then being very engaged in the Memphis film community. I had watched people, whether they know it or not, and had my eye on them, and that's the one to watch, and this person is good at X. And so I just kept that in the back of my mind, and just converged all of the talents that I have in different disciplines I do. And I think it just came naturally, but the talent made it easy.
That's true.
When you gave me the script. Yeah.
Now I know, with us being a new production company, not known in the film community, and that's in that way, it was, we didn't just have people beating down the door to audition. I'm just going to be honest, Yeah. So how did you tackle that? Now, of course, myself and Margaret, we had a couple of roles. We had people already in mind, but the roles that you really had to reach for and pull people in, how did you go about doing that?
I did it two ways. The first was, as you said, I posted in two major film groups on Facebook, where most of the Memphis community convenes, film community. And some of them responded just from that, because a lot of our talent is looking to work. They're looking to work. And the second thing was your Artur Club. You have the Artur Club with On Location Memphis, and you had all these great benefits, and you allowed us to use that medium to reach existing members of the Artur Club. And then I sort of recruited loosely other members. Well, you can get a chance for this production. You'll get first dibs on other productions if you become a member of On Location Memphis. And you have so many other program offerings and benefits, I tell people is a work that I joined long before I became the casting person.
Mm-hmm.
So those two ways, and then some of them were just personal pitches to people. I just went to them directly. I would like
Mm-hmm.
you to read for this role. I think
Mm-hmm.
that you would be a good person. So relationships are very key in Memphis in the film community.
Oh, absolutely. And we had an awesome cast. And I'll
Yes.
admit several several of the cast members, they were friends that I've had for years, like over a decade. And then many of them we were meeting for the first time, but
Mhm.
everyone had the same spirit, about them, camaraderie, um, professionalism,
Yes.
a heart to make this the best project that it could possibly be, and the work ethic was just top notch. And I think that has to do with you as the casting director, as far as your choices, and choosing. I think I'll because we had a couple of characters where there were maybe more than one or two people who were auditioning for those
Right.
characters, and making the decision like, okay, I think we'll go with this actor or actress
Mhm.
in this particular role at this particular time. And I think making those right choices brought that team together, and once they all came together, it was just magic.
Right. Well,
Oh,
that had a lot to do with my respect for you and how you do things decently and in order, and how professional you are. You knew what you wanted and how you wanted it. And I wanted to make you look good. And professionalism is something I've always been keen about. And if you are laxed in the audition process, you won't send me what I asked for. In 3 weeks, I haven't heard from you. You don't reply to emails. You are very lackadaisical about sending in half of something and not all. The way that you address me in email, all of those things played a factor in my selection process. I could
hmm
tell who wanted it, who was
hmm
interested, who was not. And the way that people presented themselves was key. If you
hmm
are like that in the audition process, it gives me an indicator of your behavior during filming. And I knew that you didn't have a lot of time to waste. Time is money. And so
hmm
that's a lesson for anyone who's interested in me casting them. You've got to put your best foot forward. You've got to be timely. When I asked for something, I needed it for a reason. I had
hmm
people watching, people looking. We needed to make decisions. I wasn't just asking to be asking. And
hmm
if they were not responsive, they didn't get the opportunity because we needed a solid cast, and we got that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what's on the horizon for Kathy Lofton and Lofton Media? Because I know you've had quite a few opportunities over the last couple of months since we,
Yes, I've
wrapped.
been approached by some folks. I'm so excited. I'm hoping that my year is coming up because I'm a learner. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to grow. But one thing that Darius mentioned is damaged goods. I
hmm
got another dream that had been deferred. I am the executive producer of Damaged Goods, and that is coming out this year. Farrell. Daniel Farrell is the producer and director, and so I'm excited about that. And so we're putting final touches on that. And Darius is the star, and
hmm
it was great working with him. And then again in your production of Fifth Step. So that's on the horizon for me. My debut film as an executive producer, and I hope that a film that has been slated for 2024 does happen. I auditioned and got a role as a psychiatrist in
hmm
a feature film with somebody well known in the
hmm
Memphis community. So I'm hoping that comes about. They're
hmm
still polishing some things up contractually, but looking for that. And then finally, I am talking with an entity very well known in the Memphis community about collaborating,
Okay.
converging education and arts and film. And they reached out to me, and it's so interesting. I was thinking about them, they were thinking about me. We didn't know it. I
Mm.
sent them an email suggesting we talk. they called back and said, Kathy, we're steps ahead of you. 3 weeks ago, we already said we need to talk to Kathy Lofton. So we were already on the same page. So I was like, wow, this must be meant to be. Timing is everything. So when I learned more about that, because we're both sketching out things that we want to do, we had so many ideas flying across the table in that meeting. We think we're going to come up with something good in the way of arts and film and education and involving youth is one of our audiences. So stay tuned for that. And lastly, let me add this on script writing. I have, like you, been trying to become a script writer and do screenplays. So I've entered a couple of competitions. So we'll see how that happens. I want to grow. And today I got an opportunity to submit to a well-known streaming platform. They are looking for people who want to be discovered.
Okay.
So I'll throw my script in the hat and see what happens.
This, yeah.
Black script writers, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'll be putting a prayer up for you too on that as well. So I appreciate you coming in tonight and sharing with us. And absolutely, just I wanted everyone to know about what Lofton Media has to offer and what you gave to us on this particular project.
It was reciprocal. This has been a wonderful experience. Angela has taught me so much and helped me and mentored me and about contracts. I learned so much more about how contracts should be done. And I think that's because you are an attorney by trade, whereas most film productions don't have that. And so when you talked about when you secure a person for casting, you should have a contract in place. You should pay them a portion of what they're going to be paid before filming even starts. Nobody does that in this town. So you set a precedent. And I was very impressed with how you run that ship. So that's why I'm ready to board again.
You said ready to board again.
Yeah.
All right, Miss Kathy. Thank you again. This concludes our OLM discussion. I just appreciate each one of my guests for coming in tonight. Darius Wallace, Margaret Hatter, Kathy Lofton. Thank you all for being a part of this journey with me. And again, I want to thank our sponsors, and I want to make sure that I have them right across the bottom here. Frontline Solutions, funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Tennessee Entertainment Commission, Pinnacle Bank, Power Media Solutions, Immaculate Facility Services, the Spice Lady 901, A Square Meal Cafe, and Meals for You Catering, as well as Margaret Hatter and Kara Sherrod. So I just want to thank our MMP patrons. I want to thank all of you all who will be watching this on the replay. Thank you, and stay tuned because Fifth Step will be screening in April of 2024. We will be nailing down the exact day that screening event is going to be. Red carpet. We're going to be dressing up to the nine. We're going to be having a good time on that night. So come ready. Come ready to take pictures and to have a good time because this is going to be Hollywood, Tennessee style. So without further ado, I wish you all a good night.